you want to be part of the show, 646-915-9397. The other day, Sheriff Joe chimed in on the border controversy. And I think if anybody knows as much about the border, it would be Sheriff Joe. He's worked down in Mexico for most of his life. He's been the sheriff here for 20 years. He said there's no way you're going to enforce illegal immigration laws in the interior of the country and blame it on the border. That's just a cop-out. And he's right. There's no way to seal the border without securing the problems that are inherent in why illegal immigrants are coming here. And the reason they're coming here is because conditions are so bad. Now, I'm going to offer a suggestion because the liberals have been saying the Republicans don't offer any suggestions. They don't say what a solution is. They just keep saying no. And with a large part, that's true, even though that's kind of the role of any minority party. It's supposed to present an obstacle to the majority's ideas. John Boehner talked on the radio about canceling $500 billion in cuts to Medicare as a way of strangle the new health care bill in its infancy. I would suggest that we cancel the health care bill, but go ahead with $500 billion in Medicare cuts and do something unique with the money. And I'm surprised no one's come up with this. Let's offer Mexico $500 billion to sell us the Baja Peninsula. Now, before you go screaming about the insanity of the deal, I did some math on this. Adjusting for inflation, the purchase would be similar in land pricing to the Gadsden purchase and the Seward's purchase of Alaska. If we took the savings and spent, it's almost the same if you adjust for inflation, both in square miles and dollars per square mile. Now, think about the possibility of jobs expansion and tax revenues as we turn Baja into the 51st state in the Union. Now, imagine Baja as another tourist mecca, similar to the French Riviera, maybe Vegas by the ocean, and you get the idea. Business tycoons like Trump and Wynn would be the first one in line to develop all that virgin coastline into a new America vacation jewel. Since it's a U.S. position, it would be immune from most of the environmental protection laws, most of the EPA controls, most of the laws of the United States. They could really develop the coast quickly, fast, and enormously profitable. Think of the cruise opportunities. Hell, think of the real estate industry as the government opened new tracts of land for sale. In Mexico, you're not allowed to own property within 50 miles of the coastline unless you're a Mexican citizen. And don't forget, let's not discount the oil reserves that lie largely untapped off the Baja coast. Mexico is the only oil-producing country that is not producing money for its citizens because they largely do not know what they're doing with the oil industry. Now, some experts think that the oil reserves of Baja have as much as the Iranian and Iraqi oil fields combined. Just the threat of us drilling those fields would drop oil and gas prices almost overnight and serve as a check to the growing financial power of Iranian-Russian energy cartel. Don't think that it wouldn't be popular up on the Hill either. Democrats would line up to vote yes on the purchase. They would be inheriting an almost certainly blue state, considering the vast amount of former Mexican citizens that would now potentially be American citizens. You could also say to illegal immigrants, look, we can't offer you citizenship. You didn't come here legally. Go to Baja, Mexico. Visa new illegal immigrants into Baja, not into the United States, but into Baja, and work your way up towards citizenship. It wouldn't be direct citizenship, just like this amnesty bill wouldn't. They're basically the same thing, but you do it in Baja so that all these Mexican citizens, which would be low-cost labor, would fill all the job opportunities that American capitalism would do it. The Republicans would probably buy into it too. Because, after all, they represent the interests of business, and bringing a new U.S. possession in the fold would almost overnight solve a lot of America's economic woes. It would certainly boost their re-elections. Be able to travel across the border easily. And Mexico, they jump at it too. With a potential $500 billion payout, it's almost certainty that there would be enough graft to go around to grease all them corrupt politicians down there. Mexican people living in Baja would benefit from the U.S. entitlements they'd now be eligible for, Illegal immigration into California and parts of Arizona would almost certainly come to a standstill. Why cross into Arizona, risk arrest, incarceration, when you can easily slip into Baja and bend a whole lot of it? All you've got to do would be say, look, Baja is where you start. It's kind of like if you're a baseball fan like I am, it's kind of like a farm league for the United States. Go there, work there, apply for, let's say, a labor certificate or a work permit, and then when you become eligible for citizenship after so many years, keep your nose clean, then you can get in line for citizenship. I think it's time that we expand the borders of the United States. After all, we're a nation of capitalists and businessmen. We should be buying the world, not selling it. That's what America's all about. We don't borrow money, we loan it out. We're the richest nation in the world. Why on earth do we get ourselves into a situation where we're $16 trillion in debt? There should be no reason for that. The way you generate tax revenues is by expanding business. Even the president knows that. That's why he's got that president's council, on jobs, which really doesn't do anything. They probably all sat around and said to the president, hey, you know how you want to increase business interest? You lower the tax burden on corporate interest, either through corporate tax breaks or the payroll tax breaks. Imagine all the people in the United States who would jump at an opportunity to buy cheap real estate in Mexico. The coastline of Baja, if you think about it, it's almost all coastline, either on the bay side or on the Pacific Ocean side. The real estate there, I can only imagine at what it would be worth eventually. So you know that there's going to be a flood of people down there. There's going to be a flood of money coming up here. One of the big reasons why Mexico has such an illegal immigration is there's no money in that economy. The largest income to Mexico is not even from its oil fields. You know what it's from? It's from people here working and sending their money down there, which means they're not going to have any incentive to change things. They're just going to have family members illegal immigrate in the United States. Well, now with Baja, they have a chance to move someplace where there's opportunity for them, and they don't have to risk dying to do it. That's going to be huge for both parties. It'll help Mexico out, and it'll help the United States out. Imagine how much the American economy would take off if suddenly we were pumping gas at $1 or $2 a gallon. Imagine pricing of goods like consumer goods like food, packaging, clothing. All of that would become suddenly a lot less expensive because shipping it would be easy to do. Imagine the money made in the expansion of transportation networks such as airlines, rail cars, ports of access. That would be huge. And don't say it wouldn't take away from the economy in the United States because of all the cheap labor. That wouldn't, because all that cheap means cheap designer goods too. Imagine our toasters and our ovens and other hardware being able to be manufactured by inexpensive Mexican labor rather than sending it over to China, because it's right here in the continental United States. You wouldn't have to ship it. Imagine all the automotive factories that you could fill with cheap labor. This is a real solution. It's a hell of a lot better than spending the billions and trillions that we spend on social programs and food stamps and Medicare. If you really want shovel-ready jobs, you say, hey, listen, we're going to buy Baja. This is a U.S. possession. It has certain special rules about the way we handle things. You don't have to make it a territory. What I'm saying, there's a difference between a possession and a territory. A possession is something that you just own as land and people there live there. And you make special rules. You say, listen, you get a special ID or you special work. You would give all these Mexicans that live in Tijuana and other places certain rights. They would be protected by our laws. You'd clean out a lot of the unconstitutional, unethical police. I mean, if you've ever been to Tijuana, you know you're more scared of the police than you are of the citizens. Imagine how much Tijuana would blossom with all now the fresh money to invest in that land. If you've ever been to Tijuana, you know it's a beautiful city if it was cleaned up. It's right on the coastline. It's like a San Diego South, except it's all dilapidated because there's no money. I can't imagine how much money could be made by buying Baja. I think it would probably pay for itself in a very short time, if only from tax revenues. Expansion in human history has been always one of the ways most empires have made money. When countries stop expanding, they stop making money. Let's expand the United States. You know, everyone says, well, all those Mexicans will now be citizens. So what? They'd be here legally. You could give them, since it would be a U.S. possession, they're not U.S. citizens. Now, if they were a territory, that would be different. But that's opportunity there. We wouldn't be buying Baja so much as buying opportunity. That's what America does best. It buys things. It expands its business by using its natural wealth and natural talents to build a better country. They won't let us do it here. This administration has so many rules and laws, it's impossible to grow business right now in this environment. But we could do it down in Baja. I say let's buy Baja. And that's not a joke. I've done the research on this. It's very possible for the United States to do it. It's better, instead of making us more like Mexico, we should be making Mexico more like us. And if the money we make in Baja, maybe we could buy some more of their lands and eventually make Mexico a better place. Because unless you make Mexico better, this is going to be continued a problem no matter what laws you pass on the United States. The more we import Mexican poverty into the United States and third world poverty into the United States, the more we will resemble a third world nation. I don't want that to be the fate of the United States. So let's buy Mexico and make it more like the United States. And that's the thought I'll leave with you today. You think about that. We'll talk tomorrow about these SCOTUS decisions, Supreme Court, and have a good day.